Carter Voss sat quietly in the dark metal room. The walls were cold and smooth, the air to clean, and there was a strange scent like burnt copper and flowers. His hands were tied behind his back, not with rope, but with something like liquid. Light. It didn't hurt, but he couldn't move. He was the last human on the ship captured, alone, sent as a peacekeeper, now a prisoner. The Celiari Dominion had destroyed Jericho for one of Earth's most distant colonies. In just minutes, millions were gone. No warning, no mercy. Earth's leaders didn't want a war they couldn't win. So they sent a single-man Carter on a diplomatic mission to ask for peace. The Celiari were not known for kindness, but they were known for rules. Old rules. Sacred rules. So they accepted Earth's request and brought Carter aboard their royal flagship Valnarina, which meant the crown of stars. Now he waited. A buzzing sound echoed through the chamber. The door opened. Like melting metal, and two Celiari guards entered. They looked like tall, armored insect 6 legs, 2 arms, glowing eyes, sharp chitin that shimmered like pearls. "Come," one of them said, in a voice like a whisper through glass. The light bonds released, and Carter stood. He was calm on the outside, but his heart pounded in his chest. He had studied the Celiar language, their customs, their history, but nothing could prepare him for this. They led him through shining corridors, where other Celiaris stopped and stared. Some hissed softly. Others lowered their heads. Wasn't sure if it was fear or insult. Then they entered the throne hall. It was massive, like a cathedral built for giants. The walls pulsed with golden light. Floating platforms carried alien nobles in robes of silver and black. Everything was quiet, and then she arrived, Queen Elistra. She entered without walking. She floated, surrounded by a cloud of tiny flying creatures. Living jewelry, perhaps? Her eyes glowed like twin stars. Her face, if it could be called that, was covered by a mask of shimmering glass. The guards forced Carter to his knees. "Hey!" Looked up, but didn't bow his head. He'd been told to be respectful, but not weak. Queen Elistra floated closer, her long arms folded. A tall, wide platform rose from the floor behind her. On it sat a single object, her crown made of black crystal, with sharp points and soft light. Carter heard the translator buzz in his ear. "You are the one they sent?" she asked. Her voice was deep and strange, but not unkind. "I am," Carter replied. "My name is Carter Voss. I represent Earth and the Terran diplomatic corps. You wear no armor, carry no weapon. Yet you approached the Dominion after your kind was ... punished." He nodded. "I came to ask for peace, not fight. We don't want more blood." One of the nobles hissed. Another shouted something in Celiari, and several wings clicked in anger. Queen Elistra raised her hand. Silence returned. She floated even closer, studying him. Then something happened. She stopped. Her glowing eyes stared at his chest. At first, Carter thought she saw the chain he wore. It held an old coin from Earth, a family heirloom. But her eyes were not on the coin, were lower. On his shirt, it was old and faded, something he had grabbed from his locker in a rush before being captured. It had a strange symbol, an eagle with spread wings, holding arrows in a branch. An old logo from Earth's history. From a country long gone, the United States of America. For a long moment, Queen Elistra said nothing. Then she whispered something. The translator buzzed. "It cannot be." Without a word, she floated back. Her arms trembled. The flying lights around her dimmed. The entire court stared as she moved toward the black crystal crown. She lifted it with both hands and placed it. At Carter's feet, gasps filled the chamber. Nobles screamed. Guards rushed forward in confusion. Carter didn't move. The queen bent, slightly, just a bit. A gesture no one had ever seen her make before. "You carry the mark of the Sky Fathers," she said, her voice soft now. "We thought them gone. We believed the line was lost." I don't understand," Carter said. "It's just a shirt." She looked at him. "No, it is a sign. Then she said the words that would change the galaxy. Forgive us. The aftershock Carter wasn't returned to the prison. It was led to a private chamber, luxurious, warm, filled with strange colors and soft music. Celiar healers cleaned his wounds, brought him food, even offered him silken robes. He refused. He kept the shirt on. The next day, the queen called for him again. This time, there were no guards, just her, alone in the throne hall. I must explain, she said. Please, Carter replied. She told him a story older than any history Earth had ever written. Long before the Celiari rose to power, another race ruled the stars, the progenitors. They were tall, two-legged, with soft skin, deep eyes, and fire. In their hearts, they looked like you, the queen said. But older, wiser. They did not conquer, they uplifted. Carter listened. The progenitors visited many worlds, helped many species, including the Celiar. They brought light, technology, knowledge, and peace. But they vanished. Long before the Celiari learned to fly, many believed they were myths, but stories remained. Carvings, relics, and most of all a symbol, the eagle, the arrows, an olive branch, a symbol of power and mercy, of strength and peace. The Sky Fathers left us this sign, Queen Elistra whispered. And when we saw it again, we knew they had returned. But I'm not a god, Carter said. I'm just a man. She smiled strangely human-like. Then the gods were men. The court and chaos word spread fast. Some believed the queen had gone mad. Others believed the prophecy had come true. The court was split. Many bowed to Carter. Some demanded his blood. One noble, Lord Zarketh, shouted in anger during a council meeting. This human is a trick. A toy with paint on his chest. Queen Elistra answered him with silence. And that silence hurt more than any blade. Carter tried to understand what he had become. A symbol, a threat, a hope. He spent nights reading Celiari texts, learning there. Legends. He found murals and chant ones of human-like figures surrounded by light, giving tools to insect children. He saw the eagle painted in gold, deep inside the temple walls of forgotten moons. And one word repeated over and over again in their language, flame-bearer. He didn't know what it meant yet, but he would. Final scene of part 1 that night, Carter stood on the observation deck. Stars burned bright beyond the glass. The earth was far away. But in that moment, he didn't feel far from home. Queen Elistra joined him. Why did you surrender your crown? He asked. Because the crown was never mine, she said. It belonged to those who first lit the stars. And now, it belongs to you. Carter didn't answer, looked at his shirt torn dirty old. But somehow, in this strange place, it meant everything. Carter Voss couldn't sleep, even though the room was peaceful. With soft music and glowing walls that changed color slowly, his mind was full of noise. The queen had bowed to him. She had placed her crown at his feet. Why? Because of a symbol. On his old shirt, he kept staring at the eagle logo on his chest. How could something from a museum gift shop bring a powerful alien queen to her knees? There had to be more. The message in the dark the next day, Queen Elistra called Carter to a hidden chamber deep within the royal ship. It was nothing like the bright throne hall. This place was old, dusty. The walls were made of rough stone, not metal. Strange symbols glowed faintly in the dark. This place was built long before I was born, the queen said. We call it the Memory Vault. Carter followed her down a narrow path until they reached a tall stone door. A symbol was carved into it. The same eagle that was on his shirt. Elistra touched the door, and it opened. Inside was a single object, a cube made of black glass floating in the air. It spun slowly, glowing from within. Strange lines moved across its surface. This is the Ether Codex, the queen said. It was left behind by your kind long ago. Carter stepped closer. The cube suddenly stopped spinning. A beam of light shined out and scanned him from head to toe. Then a voice spoke not in English, not in Celiari, but in something older. And somehow, Carter understood every word. Genetic match detected. Human origin confirmed. Flame bearer identified. Locking memory strand. ... The cube opened. A small panel slid aside, revealing a glowing crystal chip. Queen Elistra looked stunned. No one could activate it until now. The past awakens back in the Royal Archive room. The crystal was inserted into an ancient reader. A large screen lit up, showing old video footage. A human man in armor stood on a platform, stars behind him. He was tall, proud, with the same eagle. A symbol on his chest, his voice echoed through the hall. "This is Commander Alec Voss of the Earth Empire. Stardate 4012 to 32 those who find this. We were betrayed. The flame is hidden. Earth must fall silent to survive. But one day we will return. One day the flame bearer will rise. Till then, ... remember. The cradle remembers. The blood remembers. We are not gone. We are waiting." The video ended. Carter was frozen. The man had his last name, Voss. Was he an ancestor? A coincidence? Or something else? The Queen looked at him with new eyes. "You come from the bloodline of the First Empire. You carry the flame." Carter shook his head. "Earth doesn't know anything about this. We don't have an empire. We'll have barely made peace with ourselves. Then Earth has forgotten. But the stars remember. Enemies in the shadows, not everyone was happy about Carter's rising importance. In a dark council room elsewhere on the ship, Lord Zarkath slammed his sharp fist on a table. "This human is a disease," he growled, "carries dead myths, and dares to speak to our queen as if he were her equal." "He didn't ask for the crown," another noble replied. "He doesn't have to," Zarkath snapped. "He already has it in their eyes." The Celiari court was splitting. Some believed Carter was a sign of the return of the gods. Others believed he was a liar. Zarkath knew that if the queen kept following this human, the Dominion would fall into chaos. So he made a decision. He would act quietly, quickly before the flames spread again. The search for Idrix Isqueen. Elistra showed Carter a star map. "This is it Draxus?" she said, pointing to a star system far from their current location. "The last world visited by the Skyfathers. It is dead now. Tomb. But if your ancestor left anything, it will be there." Carter stared at the map. "You want me to go there?" "I want you to discover who you are," she said softly. "What your kind once was," Carter agreed. A special ship was prepared, a fast scout vessel with a small crew loyal to Elistra. The Queen handed him a pendant before he left. It was shaped like a tiny flame carved from red crystal. "This was found on Idraxis centuries ago. I believe it is yours." Carter wore it around his neck. The journey to Idraxis took 5 days. During the trip, he studied more Celiari texts. He learned about the Ashen Collapse, a mysterious event that caused the fall of the first human empire. No one knew what caused it. Some blamed the Netherborn. Others spoke of an internal war. Whatever happened, the result was the same: humanity disappeared from the stars. Until now, the planet of Bone Sidraxis was a dead world. From orbit, it looked like a graveyard: gray mountains, black seas, broken structures half buried in ash. Carter and 2 Celiar engineers landed near what looked like an ancient human base. The air was thin, but breathable. The ground was hard, cold. The base was silent. But as Carter stepped inside, lights flickered on. Not normal lights, old ones, blue and golden, glowing softly like candles. The hallway was lined with statues tall. Human figures wearing cloaks, each holding a torch. At the end of the hallway stood a large door. On it was the symbol against the eagle arrows, olive branch. He placed his hand on it. The door opened. Inside was a circular room with a large machine in the center. It looked like a giant engine, but made of crystal and metal. A voice spoke, Flamebearer. Identified. "Welcome home." The machine powered on. Flame engines, the machine glowed brighter, sending a pulse into the sky. On dozens of planets across the galaxy, similar machines began to hum. Ancient stations, forgotten satellites. and broken AI constructs turned on after thousands of years. The stars whispered. Carter stood in awe. "What is this?" he asked aloud. A hologram appeared above the machine. It showed star maps, ship designs, and messages written in ancient human script. It was a library, seed of the old empire. One message was translated by the system and spoken aloud. "You are not lost. You are the flame. Rise again. Find the cradle. Reclaim the stars." Carter looked. Around, he felt something deep inside him, warmth in his blood. Not power, not pride, purpose. He wasn't here to rule. He was here to remember. Cliffhanger ending, the enemy awakens, but far away. Something else heard the signal. In deep space, past forgotten wormholes and black suns, a massive creature opened. Its eyes, it had not moved in thousands of years, but now, the flame had returned, and it hated the flame. The Netherborn were waking back on Adraxis. The Celliar engineer turned to Carter. "Sir," she said, "something is coming. You don't know what yet," but she paused. "It's big." Carter looked to the stars. He had lit the flame. Now the war was coming. The machine on Adraxis, once silent for thousands of years, now pulsed with life. Its energy echoed across deep space. Beacons long dead began to glow again. Old Earth satellites, once drifting silently, blinked with new code. Messages were sent, but Carter didn't know who would receive them or what they would do inside the control room. Carter stood quietly, the red crystal pendant still glowing against his chest. The Celliar engineer, Rinkal, worked beside him. "Whatever you did, it's not just waking machines," she said, eyes wide. "It's waking memories." Carter didn't respond. He stared at the hologram floating in the center of the room. It showed a map of the galaxy, and around it, red dots began to appear. Not from Earth, not from the Dominion. From somewhere else. Something hostile. Uncal's antennae twitched. "They're moving. Toward us." Returned to the Velnarina, Carter and his crew left Yggdraxis in haste. The air had changed. It felt colder, darker. Even though there was no wind in space, they could feel a storm coming. When Carter returned to the royal flagship Velnarina, Queen Illustra was waiting. Her guards were tense. So was she. "What did you find?" she asked. Carter told her everything. The message from Commander Alec Voss, the ancient machines, the maps. The signal then, he showed her the new warning, the red dots approaching from beyond the edge of the known galaxy. The Queen's eyes dimmed. "The Netherborn." Carter looked at her. "You know them. We all do," Illustra said. "We just chose to forget. The old enemy long ago, before the Celliari built empires, before humans vanished. The Netherborn were the true threat. They were not a species. They were not even truly alive. They were devourers, beings made of black metal and void energy. Consumed stars, drained worlds, twisted life into weapons. They were the reason the flame was hidden. They were the reason the old empire fell, and now they were awake again." "How many?" Carter asked. "Too many," Illustra replied. "But if the machines responded to you, there may still be hope." Carter clenched his fists. "Then we have to fight." But not everyone agreed. A queen without a crown word had spread fast through. The Dominion, Carter Voss, had found a lost machine of the gods. He had activated it. He had started something that was shaking the balance of power. And Queen Illustra still had not taken back her crown that made her enemies bold. In a secret meeting hall, Lord Zarketh met with other nobles. They sat in a circle, whispering like snakes. "This queen has lost her mind," Zarketh said. "She kneels to a human. She speaks of forgotten myths. And now, she plans to start a war with shadows. The people believe the flame has returned," one noble said carefully. "The people are fools," Zarketh replied. "We were born from war. We do not bow to fairy tales." He stood, towering over the others. "If she will not rule us, then we must remove her." A silent agreement passed through the room. The crownless rebellion had begun. Assassins in the night later that night. Carter was walking through the ship's garden halls. The Velnarina was so large it had forests, waterfalls, and even artificial. Birds, it was peaceful. It's too peaceful. That's when he heard the sound metal scraping stone. He turned. 3 figures dropped from the ceiling. Black armor. No emblems. No words. Only blades, assassins. Carter ducked as the first blade came at his throat, rolled, grabbed a nearby stone bench, and swung it hard. It hit one attacker in the head with a loud crack. The second lunged. Carter dodged again and kicked the figure backward. Into a tree. But the third was fast. A blade sank into Carter's side. He gasped, falling to the ground. Blood stained his shirt. Just as the final assassin raised their blade, a blue energy bolt struck them in the chest. Ion Cal stepped from the shadows, holding a blaster. I told you not to walk alone. Kartos smiled through the pain. Thanks for the advice. Treason in the court the next day, Queen Illustra called a full meeting of the High Council. Carter, wounded but standing, appeared beside her. We have proof, she said loudly. Someone tried to kill the flame bearer. Gasps, whispers, denials. Carter stepped forward, holding the assassin's broken blade. On its hilt was a sigil, one belonging to Zarkith's house. The noble didn't flinch. You bring lies and chaos to this court, Zarkith spat. You are not one of us, human. You do not belong here. No, Carter replied. But your ancestors begged mine for help. And now I'm here offering it again. You just don't like what that means. The queen raised her voice. Enough. The rebellion has begun. And I will not stand down. She turned to Carter. You must leave, for your safety. Take a warship. Find others who still remember. The Celiari will not stand alone. Carter hesitated. You're staying. Illustra smiled. I am still queen, and this is still my court. A ship called Revenant Carter left that night with a new crew. Loyal Celiari, humans from old colonies, and others who believed in the flame. Their ship was an Enchinda hybrid of Celiari and human technology. Once broken, now reborn. Its name, Revenant, meaning something that returns from death. Carter stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. We're going to the cradle, he said. Ion Cal raised a brow. What's the cradle? I don't know, Carter replied. But my ancestor mentioned it, and I think it's the key to everything. The ship jumped into hyperspace, back on the Valnerina. Rebels had taken part of the flagship. Queen Illustra still held the throne hall, but barely. Zarkith's voice echoed through the halls on hijacked speakers. Lay down your arms. The old ways are dead. The queen bows to ghosts. I offer power. I offer victory. But many Celiari remained. Loyal, not because they believed in Carter, but because for the first time in centuries, they had hope, and hope is hard to kill. Final scene: the cradle awakens in deep space. Far beyond any known chart, an ancient object floated. It looked like a small moon, dead cold. But now, pulsed once, a blue light spread from its core. Inside, machines moved, engines turned. Weapons hummed. The cradle had awakened. It had heard the flame, and it would wait for the one who bore it. The ship Revenant moved like a ghost through space. It carried a new crew, a new purpose, a symbol from the past that had begun to awaken something very old and very dangerous. Carter Voss stood at the viewing window, staring out at the swirling blue of hyperspace. The red flame-shaped crystal around his neck pulsed softly. They were heading toward a star system. It's not marked on any modern maps. It was called the Cradle. The signal of light in the Revenant's bridge wrinkle-tapped on the control panel. We're picking up a signal. Weak, but repeating. Carter turned. From the Cradle? She nodded. It's using a language similar to the one you activated on Adraxis. Ancient Earth code. Older than anything we've ever seen. What's it saying? Rinkel tilted. Her head, just 3 words. Over and over. She pressed a button, and the speaker buzzed to life. The voice was robotic, but heavy with age. Flamebearer. It returned ready. The cradle as the ship exited hyperspace. The crew gasped. Before them floated a massive structure, half moon, half machine, stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Rings rotated slowly around it. Blue lights flickered across its surface like fireflies. It looked like a dead world. Carter could feel it alive, waiting. "Prepare for landing," he ordered. As they approached the structure, a hangar door opened by itself. The ship lowered into a chamber lined with tall statues, humans in armor, holding glowing spears. Each wore the same symbol on Carter's shirt: the eagle, the arrows, and the olive branch are. Cal whispered. "It's like a temple, no?" Carter replied. "It's a vault." The flame engine inside the cradle. The air was cold and silent. Carter led the team through wide metal corridors, their boots echoing. Strange lights lit the path. On every wall, more carvings showed battles between humans and creatures made of shadow-netherborn. One door stood locked. Carter stepped forward, unsure what to do. Suddenly, the red crystal around his neck glowed brighter. A beam of red light shot from it and touched the door. With a loud hiss, it opened. Inside was a round chamber with a giant machine in the center. It looked like a heart, made of gold and blue metal, with tubes that pulsed like veins. The machine spoke in the same ancient voice. "Flame bearer detected. Flame engine operational. Awaiting command." "What does it do?" Cal asked. Carter placed his hand on the panel. He didn't understand the language written there, but somehow his body remembered. He pressed 3 buttons. The room trembled. The cradle began to awaken. Warborn awakening in dozens of places across the galaxy. Ancient machines buried under planets began to shake. Old Earth warships hidden in ice and rock rose from the ground. They were massive, sleek black metal with glowing blue engines. They hadn't flown in 10,000 years. Now, they turned toward the stars, and they were listening. Carter's command had activated them all on the Revenant. Wrinkle stared at the screen as symbols danced across it. "There. Answering." She said, "Ships, drones, satellites. It's a fleet. A whole fleet from the First Empire." Carter leaned forward. "How many?" Wrinkle gulped. "Thousands." Carter's voice was quiet, steady. "Then we're not alone anymore." Meanwhile, on Velnair 8th, flagship of the Dominion burned in low orbit over a desert world. Inside, Queen Illistra's loyalists were surrounded. Lord Zarkith's forces had taken control of most of the ship. He stood in the throne room now, wearing a mock crown and barking orders. "Seal the Queen's wing. Starve them out." A young officer entered. "My lord, we've received word. The flame bearer has activated something. Whole systems are lighting up. Old weapons. Old ships." Zarketh growled. "He's waking an army of ghosts." Message across the stars back on the Revenant. Carter stepped into a communication chamber. The hologram screen flickered too. "Life," he sent one message to all known systems Earth, the Celiari worlds, and anyone still listening. "This is Carter Voss of Earth. The flame has returned. The cradle is awake. First Empire's fleet is rising again. We don't come to rule. We come to protect. The Netherborn are returning. If we do not stand together now, we will fall apart one by one." He ended the message. "The enemy moves in deep space, near a broken sun." A dark force stirred. A Netherborn war beast, huge black, shaped like a spider with wings, opened its many red eyes. It had received the signal too, but where others saw hope, it saw prey. The creature moved. Behind it followed 100 smaller beasts, silent, fast, full of rage. Their target, the cradle. The first battle begins on the 3rd day after activation. Alarms rang on the Revenant. "They're here," Wrinkle shouted. Outside the cradle, the sky turned black. Netherborn warships had arrived, dark, twisted things with glowing red cores. They launched spiked drones that flew like insects. Carter ran to the bridge. "Power the flame engine." Cradle responded. Energy pulsed from its core and flowed into the Revenant. Shields formed. Weapons unlocked from the dark side of the cradle. The ancient Earth fleet emerged, huge battleships with names like Titanfall. Liberty's Edge, and Voss Ascendant. They surrounded the cradle and turned their guns outward. The war had begun. Carter in command. Carter had never led a space battle, but something inside him remembered as if his blood knew what to do. Lock on the nearest netherborn carrier, he ordered. Launch interceptors. Keep the cradle shielded. Rincall looked at him, half amazed, half afraid. You've done this before? No, Carter said. But someone like me has. The fleet moved with perfect coordination. Old AI systems worked with the new crew. Solari pilots flew alongside human drones. Lasers fired. Ships exploded. The sky became fire, and slowly. The flame pushed back the darkness. End of the beginning after hours of fighting. The Netherborn retreated. Their biggest ship exploded as it fled, sending out one final scream. On the bridge, Carter stood quietly. We won, Wrinkle said, exhausted. 4. Now, Carter replied. That was just a scout force. The real swarm will come soon. He looked at the cradle on the screen, still glowing. We need allies. We need Earth. And we need to bring the Queen back. Back on Velnarina. Lystra, locked in her quarters, listened to the message Carter had sent. One of her loyal guards had smuggled it in. When she heard the final line, we come too. Protect, she smiled. The flamebearer had kept his promise. Now it was her turn. She stood, removed her royal robe and picked up a blaster. Tell the others, she said. We take the ship back. Tanai. Deep inside the Velnarina, Queen Illustra paced quietly in the darkness of her sealed quarters. Her robe was gone. In its place, battle armor. Her golden staff had been traded for a plasma rifle. Around her, a dozen loyal Celiari warriors waited. In silence, she looked at them one by one. Tonight, she whispered, we don't fight for thrones. We fight for the future. They nodded. She opened a hidden door and led them through the maintenance tunnels. Above them, Lord Zarkith celebrated too early. Carter's new mission on the bridge of the Revenant. Carter stood with his crew. Around them, glowing holograms showed scattered Celiari systems, human colonies, and moving enemy fleets. The cradle was now fully awake. Old weapons, lost drones, and warships had rejoined the network. Odd. But it wasn't enough. We need Earth, Carter, said R.I. and Cal looked up. It's assuming Earth is still alive. Carter opened his grandfather's journal again. There, on the last page, were 2 words in red ink. Sanctum, Terrae. No one knew what it meant. But Carter had a feeling it was the last piece. Plot a course, he said. We find the Sanctum. Rebellion. And fire on Velnarina. Queen Illustra's strike force moved quickly. They passed under control rooms, avoiding scanners and drones. The Royal Guards used old access tunnels that hadn't been touched in decades. When they reached the Central Command bridge, 2 guards spotted them. One raised his weapon. Illustra shot first. They rushed inside. Full battle broke out. Blasters fired. Alarms rang. Fire spread across the upper decks. In the chaos, Illustra found Zarketh standing near the throne, dressed in her old crown. Smirking. You look tired, my queen, he said. Illustra dropped her blaster and drew her blade. Let's finish this the old way. The Sanctum revealed the Revenant exited hyperspace into a dead system. No stars, no life, just one thing. A glowing sphere floating in black space. It looked like a planet, but it was artificial. Metal, gold, and white stone. Ancient human symbols. Covered its surface. Carter's symbol, the eagle, arrows, and flame, was carved deep into the center. Sanctum Terrae, Carter whispered. Our eye on Cal scanned it. It's not a planet, it's a vault. They landed at the docking ring. As Carter stepped forward, the doors opened on their own. Inside was a giant white chamber filled with statues of humans and aliens. Standing side by side, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Welcome, last flamebearer. Earth remembers you. Memory of Eartha glowing hologram appeared in front of Carter. It was his grandfather, Alec Voss. But younger, the image spoke. If you are seeing this, then the last line of the flame still lives. And Earth still breathes. The hologram showed a vision. Earth had not died. It had hidden. After the Netherborn War, the old Earth government moved the core of human civilization underground, protected by layers of cloaking and defenses. Only the flame-bearers could open the gates. And now, one had returned. The walls of the chamber shook. More flame engines activated suddenly. A beacon lit up in Carter's pendant. The signal from Earth had returned. Orion Cal gasped. You've just brought Earth back into the fight. One final alliance. The signal from the sanctum reached far and wide. On Celiari colonies. Soldiers stopped fighting. On distant moons, old human. Stations blinked with light. Even Queen Illustralocked in battle with Zarketh heard. The signal on a hidden channel in her earpiece. She smiled. You hear that? She said, parrying Zarketh's blade. That's the sound of unity. She struck him down with one final swing. The throne room fell silent. The true queen had returned. The storm breaks 3 days later. The Revenant, now upgraded with ancient weapons and Earth code, joined Queen Illustra's fleet over the planet. Dr. Elka, and just in time, the Netherborn swarm had arrived. Thousands of black spiked ships blotted out the stars. Giant beasts moved between them, living war engines made of metal and bone. Carter stood on the command deck, beside Queen Illustra, on their screen. Ships from both Earth and Celiari forces appeared together. Humans, aliens, united. The largest ship among them, an ancient war dreadnought named Honor of Terra, broadcasted a single word: begin. The final battle had come. The last flame carter led the charge aboard the Renin. Flame-powered weapons tore through the enemy. AI-guided drones moved in perfect sync. Earth's defense fleet covered the skies while Celiari's strike teams punched. Through the Netherborn lines, in the middle of the fight, one of the Netherborn war beasts latched onto the cradle. Carter made a bold move. He took the Revenant straight into the monster's mouth. Inside, they saw a pulsating red Koritz brain. We can end this now, he said. Orion Cal aimed the flame cannon. One shot. One shot, Carter confirmed. The cannon charged. Carter placed his hand on the control, and the flame crystal fused. With the ship's core, he felt it every memory of Earth, every battle, every voice from the past. And then he fired. The beam tore through the Netherborn beast, exploding from the inside. Across the galaxy, the rest of the swarm shrieked and collapsed. The flame had burned through the void. Victory and Legacy's silence. Then dashed cheers. All channels opened. As humans in Celiari screamed in celebration, the war was over. The Netherborn were gone. Carter slumped in the captain's chair, exhausted but smiling. Queen Illustra's face appeared on the screen. You've done it, Flamebearer? No, he said. We all did. 1 month later, peace returned to the galaxy. Earth revealed itself again. Cities rose. Colonies rebuilt. Celiari Dominion became a republic, with Illustra as its first elected leader. A new alliance was formed. The United Flame Pact. Its symbol was the same one on Carter's shirt, only now it flew as a banner of hope across every world. Carter Voss stood on a balcony of the cradle. Looking out at the stars, Aryanka walked beside him. You could rule if you wanted, she said. I don't want a throne, he replied. I just want to keep the fire alive, she smiled. You're more Celiari than you think, he chuckled, and more human than I ever knew. They turned to the stars together, ready for whatever came next.